We live in a world where the notification chime has become the modern heartbeat, a constant rhythm we check with a nervous, Pavlovian twitch. You send a text. It's a simple inquiry, perhaps a joke, or maybe just a fragile reach for connection. The phone lights up. Two little blue ticks appear. Read. That's the threshold. You wait. You expect the three pulsing dots that signal a response is forming, but they never arrive. Minutes stretch into hours. The sun sets, the day cycles through its stages, and still, nothing. Your mind, desperate to protect your ego, begins the great manufacturing of excuses. They're stuck in a meeting. Their phone died. They're driving. They had a crisis. You curate a narrative where they are a victim of circumstance, not a silent perpetrator of distance. You cling to the lie that busy is a universal state of existence, a paralyzing force that strips a human of the ability to move their thumb for 10 seconds. Let's strip away the polite fiction. Nobody is ever truly too busy for what they want. If they wanted to talk to you, the text would already be sitting in your inbox. This isn't a matter of time management. It's a matter of priority management. You aren't waiting for them to find a gap in their schedule. You are waiting for yourself to become relevant enough to earn a spot in it. The pain of the read receipt is the sound of the door closing softly in your face. It is the most passive form of aggression available in our digital era. Think about the physical act of reading a message. It requires attention, focus, and a conscious decision to acknowledge the sender. When they see your name, they are actively choosing how to engage with your presence. To read and then abandon is to say, I see you, but I do not care to address you. It is the ultimate social devaluation. We often convince ourselves that the digital medium allows for delay, that we have the right to curate our response time. But there is a difference between a delay and a dismissal. A delay is a pause in a dialogue. A dismissal is the silence that follows an unreciprocated reach. You analyze the content of your message, wondering if you said something wrong, if the tone was off, or if you were too needy. Stop that. The message isn't the problem. Your placement in their hierarchy is. If you were a high-value client, a potential partner, or a person who held leverage over their life, that text would have been answered within minutes, regardless of their busyness. We have all been on both sides of this equation, yet we treat the experience as unique when it happens to us. You have ignored someone before. You know the feeling of seeing a notification, deciding you don't have the energy for the interaction, and sliding the phone back into your pocket. You weren't incapacitated by work. You were simply choosing comfort over the labor of connection. You did not value that person enough in that specific moment to sacrifice your peace or your silence. When you are the one waiting, you refuse to see this reflection. You stare at the screen, projecting your own intensity onto them, hoping that if you stare hard enough, they will feel the pressure of your absence and come running back to close the loop. But silence is not a vacuum. It is a statement. It is a loud, clear, and definitive signal that you have been moved from the essential list to the whenever list, and eventually, to the forgotten list. The psychological toll of this waiting game is what keeps you trapped. It is a form of intermittent reinforcement, the same principle used in gambling. You get a reply eventually, a brief haha or a sorry, was busy, and it hits like a jackpot, resetting your addiction to the person who ignores you. That intermittent response makes you work harder, makes you more careful with your words, and makes you more invested. You start to perform for the silence. You write better texts, you wait longer to reply yourself, you play the game of strategic indifference. But you aren't playing a game. You are losing your dignity. You are training yourself to accept crumbs of attention from someone who is treating your time like a disposable resource. You are letting someone else set the temperature of your self-worth, and you are shivering in the cold they have created. Look at the patterns. If the pattern is silence, then the truth is indifference. Stop blaming their workload. Stop blaming the lack of signal. Stop blaming the distractions of modern life. These are the tools they use to maintain their convenience while you bear the weight of their neglect. There is a profound, albeit brutal, freedom in realizing that you cannot force someone to care. You cannot edit your personality or your messages to be perfect enough to merit a response if the recipient is simply not interested in investing in you. When you stop waiting, the power dynamics shift instantly. You stop being the person begging for a crumb of acknowledgement and start being the person who owns their own time. It is a bitter pill to swallow, realizing that your importance to someone else is vastly lower than their importance to you. It hurts because it punctures the illusion of mutual connection. But once the bubble bursts, you are left with the only thing that actually matters, reality. The moment you stop checking if they've replied is the moment you reclaim your life. You begin to understand that silence is a gift. It tells you exactly where you stand without the need for a long, drawn-out confrontation. It is the universe pruning your garden, removing the weeds that take up space but offer no growth. You aren't being ghosted. You are being shown a mirror. The person ignoring you is showing you how they handle their relationships, and you should be thankful they showed you sooner rather than later. You don't need closure from them. You only need the clarity that they aren't the one. You deserve to be in a space where communication is not a hostage negotiation. You deserve to be a priority, not an option they toggle on and off at their leisure. Let the silence remain. Let them stay in the past. Walk away from the screen, look at the real world, and find people who view your presence as an event, not an inconvenience. You wait for a reply that isn't coming. They wait for you to stop bothering them.